Good morning, everybody. Thank you. Can you hear me? Yes, thank you. So I'm Patrick Mercier-Handisyde from European Commission, DG Research and Innovation. And I'm in particularly responsible for road safety activities, but also international cooperation. So this session indeed is on road safety in Africa. So both covering, I would say, road safety, but also international cooperation, of course. I will be moderating that session together with George Yannis, who is professor at the National Technical University of Athens. I will moderate the first part of the presentation, and then George will moderate the discussion on the Q&A we'll have after the two presentations. And I will move there now. So I will give you very shortly an introduction about this topic of road safety in Africa. As you know, road accidents and injuries are not stopping at the border of Europe, but are even more important in outside world and emerging economies. You have to know that over 650 deaths per day occur in African roads, so it's an incredible drama. And road crashes in Africa are projected to increase by even more, 68% over the next decade. African road deaths are clearly one of the highest globally and more than 4 times higher than in Europe. What is the global policy context? Because Europe cannot stand alone on that and need to support Africa. There are different levels of political arena, I would say. First of all, at the UN level, there is this global decade for road safety to decrease road deaths by 50% in 2030, which is similar to the one that we have in Europe. So we are aligned, I would say. And then there are at the European level, in the field of international cooperation, the road safety cluster on the African EU Transport Task Force, which was adopted by our colleague back in 2020. So in line with this recommendation and this global framework, we have decided to write with our colleague from DG Move, our policy unit on road safety, a dedicated topic which was included in the Horizon 20 Europe 21 work program, And from that, 2 projects resulted, which will be presented here today. So first of all, AfroSAFE and then TransSafe. As you can see, I will not go in detail, but these are the expected outcome of this call. But the main objective I would like to highlight, first of all, is to decrease by 50% the road fatalities and serious injuries by 2030 in the African continent. This is based, as I mentioned, on the different European and international fora that we have. And it's important also to mention that all this work is also based with the previous project that we have financed in Horizon 2020, which is the Safer Africa project. And the aim was to create and to support the creation of an African road safety observatory. And as George just mentioned to me just a minute ago, it will be launched very soon in the framework of the UN agencies' work in Addis Ababa. So it's a result of this project. And then the 2 other projects will be supporting these activities. Without further ado, I would like to introduce the first speaker today for this session, who is Carmelo D'Agostino, who is the coordinator of the AfroSAFE project. Carlo is a senior lecturer at Lund University in Sweden, but he's also leading the traffic safety and behavioral group in the university. And Carmelo will present the AfroSAFE project. So Carmelo, please join me, and the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you. As Patrick has introduced before, this is quite an important topic. We seem it far because it's in Africa, but it's very close to us, and it is indeed extremely important because a lot of people are dying in Africa. So we feel a kind of responsibility in working on safety in Africa. And responsibility at the same time, quite stimulating work, and you can really think you can make the difference. So what's AfroSAFE? AfroSAFE, I didn't report the call, but I can give you more information, is a partnership of 11 partners, mainly North European countries, and I will tell you why in a second. And 3 African countries. There were 4 before. One, unfortunately, couldn't make it in the end. The countries involved are Sweden, Norway, Denmark, Netherlands, Tanzania, Ghana, and Zambia. So, the main project aim is try to understand if there is possibility or how eventually try to implement the safe system modus operandi in African countries. How we can, in some way, make it possible. And having this in mind, the entire project structure is based exactly on how the SAFE system works. So we create work packages and using the SAFE system, using exactly the same framework of the same system, with a couple of more work packages and information, one related to the road safety management and data, which is fundamental thing. Data is a huge problem in Africa when you work on traffic safety. And of course, capacity building, which we think is what we can tangible, we can leave tangible in the African countries when the project will be over. But go more on details, and the time is short, so I'll try to give you a brief introduction of what we are doing in Africa and what are the main results so far. So, talking about road safety management and data, our main idea, and you will see this in almost all work packages, all the activities we are doing, is, first of all, we know quite very little about Africa, how the system works. All our country, for just a coincidence, are sub-Saharan countries, and we realized that there is a pattern. The way road safety is implemented and treated in those countries is quite similar, with some exception, of course. And the way we do the first activities we are doing in everything is try to understand, try to map the activities. What are the activities? How the participating countries are kind of dealing with safety. Most of them have offices, they have a structure, but of course there are some gaps between them, and there are some gaps between the possibility. And with road safety management, of course, our idea is try to understand how the road safety management is implemented, review the national road safety programs, and try to understand, and now we are in the process also to mapping what is missing, what are the data missing, what is needed for continuing, for implementing road safety management at the whole level. Then safe infrastructure, we are really having very good impact here with some small issues. I don't know how familiar you are with the road infrastructure safety management tools, the European Commission. So the 5 tools plus now the 6th one on network-wide road safety assessment. Not just the European Commission. The European Commission adopted them, but there are a lot of other countries dealing with this. The idea is try to introduce this idea also in the participating countries. It runs some pilots. And the idea is it's mainly to try to implement them in a constant way. So they should really apply it every second year to map the traffic safety conditions in their country. So they need to know what is happening. And Zambia is discussing the formal adoption of 2 of them with the Ministry of Transport. Tanzania, the same, 3 tools actually out of 5. Ghana, only 1, because they already had in their legislation the others. And of course, what we are doing, we are training the professionals that will implement this, and they will train the trainers in the future. Safe vehicles, very complicated, a lot of engineering here, but yes, we now know how African countries deal, or at least the participating countries deal with vehicle registration, vehicle inspections, and we are trying to propose different solutions for that. And safe road users, we are try to look at mainly vulnerable road users. We already reviewed the current practice concerning road users from safe system perspective. We have mapped road safety culture in most of African countries and benchmark against Europe, so the Nordic countries participating, and they were carrying out pilots to introduce the safe system mindset. One interesting thing is a pilot. We had the opportunity, this was not funded by our project, it was there, we just did the analysis. They basically changed the entire path to school this was in Lusaka, in Zambia, and we could really see the difference when people can have a safe space to work with reduced speed, and here were like students, so I think this was an elementary school. We are also dealing with things we didn't expect before, like fatalism in traffic safety. We realized that some of the country, and this is a learning process for us that is still ongoing. We realized that several people in Africa, they really think that accident in road accident are sometimes connected to something else. You cannot avoid them. Or if you avoid them, it's because you are a talisman or because something is connected to you. So, and this is, when you think about this, you say, okay, but this is incredible, it's so far from us. But you think maybe different people have different feelings. I can assure you that most of the people there, including colleagues, university professors, things, have this belief. Maybe not 100%, but they still there. So, you know, we need really to put ourselves in their culture, in their shoes, and try to figure out if there is any possible way to work also with this. And we are working on this. We have an extra study. We published the paper actually recently. Post-crash response, extremely important. We are take as a reference the WHO. They have a system and with protocols for the post-crash care, and we are trying to figure out if this is something we can implement there and how it is implemented. Very important we really invested a lot in Sweden and the entire Europe for post-crash care, and we really hope that, and it would be very immediate for them to do it. We are running a pilot in Zambia for that. And capacity building. Capacity building is extremely important for us because we think we realized that, and this is again a lesson learned, that in Africa, most of the knowledge is already there. So knowledge people are, our colleague at the university, they all have a PhD for South Africa or North America or Europe, or there are people that have traveled, they know, they have very knowledgeable, but when they come back to Africa, they get a position, they stop their knowledge on when they finish their PhD. They have rarely access to resources, so it's quite difficult also for them to deal with this. So our plan is to create an academy, and we're very proud of it. You can find it online, so please Google it if you want. I can give you the reference later. It's called AfroSAFE Academy, in which we try to empower researchers. How? Providing fresh knowledge as much as we can, but at the same time, try to create a platform in which they can exchange ideas, in which they can get exposed to what we do in Europe, but also what has been done in other low medium income countries, and try to also be an opportunity for search funding for developing further traffic safety in Africa, and education. So we are creating a program for traffic safety course at the university level that we hope the participating university can implement in their own universities. And at the same way, this is one of the main contacts we have with our sister project that Oliver is coordinating, and maybe he will tell you a bit more about what is happening in TransSafe. But yeah, this is, we think this is the right direction for this. This is quite consolidated already. I will tell you a bit more about this. So that's the website. You will find it is under ICTCT, but I mean, it doesn't matter. It will be, it's a standalone software. Yeah, this screenshot was taken during Christmas time, clearly. Yeah, there is a Christmas hat on top. Yeah, but yeah, that's what it is. And what we are doing is we have one webinar completely for free. You just need to register and come. Mainly, we are trying to invite mainly presenters from low, medium income countries in a way that you can relate, or our colleague from Africa can relate, or having the same issue. We are not talking about, or at least not deeply about the research we do in Europe, but we try to talk a bit more about solutions or things implemented in other African countries, or India, for example. We had Getan Tiwari, for example. They gave a great speech. Oh, by the way, all the seminars are recorded. So if you want to watch any one of them, you just go on the website, register, and take it. It's for free. Do it. Another thing we are doing is to having a series of conferences. We have a conference every year. And here, the interesting part is that we're trying to be sustainable. So the project doesn't subsidize the conferences. So we give the structure and the idea, but the participating organization, we have two, one in Tanzania, the next one will be in Ghana. It's open for submission. So please join, because you really, you can really make the difference coming to these conferences. And it's not subsidized. So basically, the conference is paid by the fees. So we really hope that this model will stay after the project finish, and not just last for a few years and then it will disappear. So we are trying to inside AfroSAFE Academy to create a tradition, a culture about hosting conference, give visibility, a lot of visibility, and connect researcher to practitioners, connect researcher to who takes decision making. And of course, we are trying to help also we create a special issue. I'm the founder of this journal. It's now in the Sedon Scopus Web of Science. So it's quite appealing for them to publish. It doesn't publish only on low, medium income countries, but we are trying to creating special issues for the conferences, and at the same time, we are trying to involve them and make them feeling part of the scientific community. Also, creating space for them. I mean, it's very difficult for our colleague in Africa to find the right place to publish, and I think this is a great opportunity also for them. And another achievement of AfroSAFE, and hopefully this will get better in the future, is the liaison with TransSAFE, so the sister project running in parallel to AfroSAFE. Yeah. I think that's all from my side. Feel free to contact me if you want more info, or if there is anything you want to discuss. We are really happy to share our experience and our results, or everything you may need and want about African countries and AfroSAFE. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Carmelo. Very good on time, so thank you very much for that already. Your project is very interesting, I see, also because you had a real system approach, which is important to tackle road safety, being on the vehicle, on the infrastructure, but also on the users. What I like very much also on your project is the academy that you have created. Hopefully will be sustainable after the end of the project. But we'll discuss that also maybe in the discussion, the Q&A. I will jump now to the second project, which is a TransSAFE project that will be presented by Oliver La. So Oliver is connecting the Urban Living Lab Center from UN Habitat between the Technical University of Berlin, also the Wuppertal Institute, and also the chair of the, he has many hats, huh? of the Urban Electric Mobility Initiative, which is more on electric mobility. But with a further go, I would like to give you the floor, Oliver, to present the AfroSAFE project. Thank you.
Much appreciated. Great. So now we're moving on to AfroSAFE, the sister that has been mentioned already. So this project started out from a realization that we had when we discussed with our partner cities on the sustainable mobility side of things, and then realized that, you know, every now and then when we talk to our friends at the police, for example, or at the road safety department, then they would suggest things like, yes, that's all great. So we talked about our initiatives on the sustainability side of things, and this is good, but actually now to really address road safety in our city, we're planning to build a flyover, or we ban tuk-tuks or two-wheelers in the city. And you feel like from a sustainability perspective, oh my God, no, where are we heading here? So this is also the approach that we took when we designed AfroSAFE, is that we wanted to bring together both worlds, the sustainable and safe aspects on the spectrum of mobility. And we did that in a similar way also geographically. So we bring together a 50-50 split, let's say, of partners from Europe and Africa and from the sustainability and safety realm. And we focus on our project on the usual 5 steps that we take in our Urban Living Lab projects, where we start to inform about solutions that are out there that can be easily implemented and replicated, inspire with best practices from all over the world to, you know, create a bit more of, you know, less anxiety on picking up new solutions in a city, and then facilitate partnerships on the ground so that we bring together key actors and stakeholders and initiate those partnerships. And then we start implementing at least some parts of the spectrum of solutions that we've identified to also show what it looked like and to test and validate the solutions on the ground. These are also quite vital later on to get a bit more visibility at the political spectrum, but also with funders and other project implementers to pick up and scale up solutions, because this is our key focus with this. We don't stay at the small level. We always go for the big impact. So that is at the city level, at the national level, but then also bringing it to the international sphere. So this is also our focus for next week, where the Global Road Safety Ministerial Meeting will be happening in Marrakesh, and our partners from NASA, from the National Road Safety Agency, Morocco, will be the co-facilitators of that workshop, and we will having a joint session with the 2 sister projects there to present our results so far. And we focused in a similar way as our sister project did on assessing the current state of the art, let's say, collecting the data so that we can have an evidence base of our research and the interventions that we'll be choosing. And we quite deliberately chose a quite diverse mix of partner countries for the demonstrations that we have. Africa is very diverse, and of course, covering all that diversity is quite challenging. So we are diving in deeper in Ghana, Rwanda, South Africa, and Zambia, because there are different elements of the puzzle that we would like to solve. For example, a key, let's say, mode of transportation, for example, in places like Ghana and Rwanda, is two-wheelers as taxis, which is a critical element to provide jobs and mobility services, but of course it comes with challenges with regard to safety. Here is a great opportunity to keep and electrifying those, so this is where our angle is here, of course. Pedestrians are the vast majority of mobility users in many of our partner countries. Not necessarily always by choice, because this is the mode that they can afford, and this is also the mode that brings them to work, even if it means walking there for an hour and not enjoying a very nice and walkable city center. So we need to also look into the conundrum of the social and empowerment sort of aspects of this. So making a city walkable is also a critical element with regard to social participation and economic participation. And cycling is not as much as a big player in many of our partner cities, and one of the key inhibiting factors is, of course, also safety. So again, just to show a tiny bit the interplay between the safety and sustainability realms. We bring all of that into lots of knowledge products. There is, of course, already plenty of work in the field of road safety, and we try to make that accessible. We've quite deliberately chosen a number of partner universities also in the region to be our key partners in the project, also to ensure the sustainability of the activities and take on those knowledge products in the teaching and learning and bringing this into the curriculum. And we've taken a little bit of a different touch onto the SAFE system, and I'll let Marianne from the University of Cape Town explain that, because that's her doing in giving us a slightly different look into the SAFE system approach, giving it more of a focus onto the individual and the user. And this is also what we try to translate again back into the sustainability realm. We have years of experiences now with the SAFE system in road safety. And similarly, from the sustainability perspective, that's a twist that we also need to take. It's not the user's fault if they move around unsustainably, it's the system's fault. We need to provide the services that are safe and sustainable for people to move around safe and sustainably. And just a quick touch on some of the solutions that we test and validate in our partner cities and countries. And this is just to show a bit. So we have around 24 solutions that we test and validate in different environments. And all of these are reasonably simple, frugal, so that they are reasonably easy to replicate everywhere across the continent. So for example, in Kumasi, the second biggest city in Ghana, we're testing smart traffic control systems, but these ones are reasonably, simple and affordable as well for every similar city to be picked up. There are post-licensing trainings that are being carried out by the colleagues. We also focus on street design and road safety interventions with regard to speaking roads. So making sure that we use the infrastructure that we have and upgrade it just a little bit. Again, affordability is a key factor here. Traffic calming in a way that is really also combining traffic flow and safety at the same time. And a key element for that is also to involve local students, local schools, so that we can really embed some of that co-design in the local community, that this is not perceived as something that is coming from the outside. We are heading over to Cape Town now, and I'll introduce my colleague Marianne van der Schuren from the University of Cape Town to share a few insights there, and then I continue.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Oliver, and good morning, everybody. Or is it afternoon already? I think it is. It's just about to turn afternoon. From the Cape Town side, and if I can come back to the wheel, we have called it a wheel of road safety. The safe systems approach, we were thinking that the user needs to be at the core. So we have just rethought and redesigned what is in the safe systems approach already, the latest one. Putting the user at the core. In every single city, you will see at the outer ring, the sixth ring, the different projects that we are doing. And for the Cape Town situation, we are doing the development of an algorithm to identify pedestrians on freeways. And for all the Europeans and Americans here, why would pedestrians be on freeways? Well, in Africa there are, because there's no secondary road network. And they will cross the freeways as well. And there are lots and lots of crashes with pedestrians. So being able to identify them and then act upon it is one of the things that we're doing. Interventions with minibus taxis is something else that we are doing. We have women's security, because besides road safety, there's personal security issues, and they actually go hand in hand. We have safe routes to school that we are testing. We are calculating what the potential is financially through a cost-benefit analysis of road fatalities, and the advantage in the South African context is that we do have, or people have put a value on life. We can have a whole discussion on that, but it means that we can do a cost-benefit analysis. We did do a design competition last year, and we have post-crash care training. And if we're then looking on the slides to just give you a kind of an idea of where we are at the moment, all the demos have been finalized, and now we are seeing how to take them forward. So the latest on, for example, safe walking for women is that we had a big conference where we shared our findings, also from other sister cities and sister organizations, also in other projects in Cape Town in October, with a big workshop with more than 40 participants. We have, and we're disseminating as much as we can all the findings that we are having, also in the in a local Southern African Transport Conference, to make sure that we keep updating local stakeholders as well. Safe routes to school, we have done 3 schools. We are going back to do training there. And now, is it the big green one? Yes. Then we are doing the walking aspects, etc., and we're collaborating with young urbanists that are changing a corridor. They are training children, and we're doing before and after studies identifying what the impacts are. We have the road safety design competition. As we said, we're now trying to see what we can take out of that, but there were 35,000 students invited to participate in that all over South Africa. And then the one post-crash care, and we are at the beginning of this, we are using, and coming back to sustainability, we are using the introduction of electric vehicles to have rescue sheets rolled out in the South African context. And by combining the two new approaches, we are able to actually get stakeholders involved. Back to you.
Lovely. Thank you, Marianne, much appreciated. So moving on to Lusaka, Zambia, where we also did a similar exercise with regard to involving young people into the walkability assessment, and then also work with local schools, but also a sister project from the UN Road Safety Fund to improve walking conditions around schools. And moving on to Kigali, Rwanda, where we also very closely integrate the sustainability and safety realms, where we did a star rating around schools, where we developed a road crash dashboard that was very much appreciated also with the local police, of course, a very important local stakeholder and partner as well in all our activities. So we always have an eye on the bigger picture here. And we bring all of that into audits, into evaluations, into, let's say, both our sustainability activities beyond the project's lifetime. So that goes into recommendations towards the policy, towards new and upcoming projects, not just in the road safety realm. So now it's usually, or quite often, road safety takes a backseat in the programming of some of the key funders, so would also bring road safety into other climate, into sustainability projects. And the evaluations that we take here are quite critical. And the other one that also goes to what Camilo presented on the academy side of things, we could continue further in our Urban Living Lab Center and the partner university activities on empowering teachers and lecturers to take the teaching material forward. And we are now as Marianne said, in the process of validating the demonstrations that we've had and then bringing them to other programs and projects, bring this into policy advice for the local authorities, for the national authorities. And a key factor is now also to focusing on the skills and the skill development side of things. So we, of course, have an eye on the future change makers here as well when we involve young students in the co-design processes, because they will move on into policy and planning roles in their cities and countries. So we empower them and we bring all of those learnings into the curricula. And with that, my time is up, and I'll just leave it at that. Maybe just also to say I'm here, but for the coordination side, we also take quite a team approach. So there are two other colleagues, Edmund, who is originally from Ghana, and Butamilo, who is originally from South Africa. So we are also quite a diverse team in running this TransSafe project. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Oliver. A very complementary presentation with different approaches, but also with the aim of having a safe system approach of the whole transport system. Without further ado, I will give the floor now to George, who will moderate the Q&A session. Thank you.
I think it was amazing, 15 minutes sharp both. We are just in time, so we are ready for a very vivid discussion. I think that the support of road safety in the low middle income countries is one of the 8 pillars of the European Union road safety strategy. And this EU interest is fully demonstrated through these 2 projects, which, as already Patrick said, they are fully complementary. So there is great added value. And of course, the European Commission and the European Union support is continued with the African Road Safety Observatory. And this is my first question. How you see the next day of your projects, how you could feed the African Road Safety Observatory on one hand, but also how you see your products, your outputs being used for long. Okay, the deliverables are there, but how you see that this will be further exploited?
Happy to get going on this. One thing was also already on the design of the project that the chair of the Africa Road Safety Observatory, NARSA, the National Road Safety Agency, is part of the team. They are a little bit distracted now with a global ministerial meeting, but they're committed to the project, and they will have a good window into the, let's say, their peers community as well. Similarly, 2 UN agencies are involved in the project, UNEP and UN Habitat, who are also part of the UN Road Safety Fund. So let's say on the wider regional and global community of practice with regard to road safety, we have a good window to feed in our learnings and findings in there. And then the other bit is also quite, just practical, basically, the focus on the academic side of the spectrum to feed our learnings into partner universities within the consortium, but also beyond, so that we make the teaching material readily available. Basically, the logic is reasonably simple. We just want to make the life of a lecturer in the field of transport easier, and they can pick up our pre-developed course components and build this into their work. And for that, it basically also works on a funded sustainable stream, because the teaching activities at the university, they continue basically forever. So we've thought about quite carefully about the sustainability paths. The other bit is, of course, also then to inform scaled-up projects with the evidence. So this is sort of maybe a few of the follow-up activities. But one thing that I would also like to mention, that in this case, that brings you back to that safety sustainability realm, is that in some ways, for example, with regard to modal share, not always voluntary though, but still, of sustainable modes of transport, Africa is ahead of us, right? And I also feel that, if we bring that together in Africa, the safe and sustainable mobility concepts, we can also bring that back to Europe. We would love to see more 2- and 3-wheelers, for example, in Europe moving around safely, and people moving around safer and walking and cycling. And this is also something that we would like to take back from Africa to Europe. So it's not just a one-way street as we see it.
Yes. Okay, it's working. Well, I share totally what Oliver was saying. I mean, that's we are really we are very concentrated on empowering researchers and the academic community. We really think this is the best way to create new generation of researcher or practitioners that they really think that safety is, you can't compromise on safety in any case. So, and sometimes we realize that for them, for some of the African countries, the African countries we work with, it's if there is a traffic accident or someone died, or don't come back home in the evening, this is a collateral. I mean, it happens. So it's part of the risk you take every morning going to work. And our idea is, okay, this is, we can't really, something has to change. So our idea is to talk as much as we can, try to empower researchers, try to create a new generation of people that are really think that safety is a priority and they can't compromise on it. And with the hope that what will happen after, it's their responsibility in some way. They really have to think, change their mindset and think about safety in a different perspective. So, and I think we are on the same page with Oliver on this. I mean, all the university work and the curriculum that we are creating and the material available and the conferences is all going in that direction.
This is very great that you have been way beyond this European Union investment, and you have foreseen the future to support road safety continuously. This is very, very important. And perhaps I have another 100 questions as a professor, but let's open the floor to the audience. What would you like to say, please? We'll start there. Who said? It's okay.
Hello, thank you for the presentations. My name is Victoria, I come from ROI. So my question is, do you think that the methodologies and the solutions that you suggest could be easily adapted in other countries that face also serious road safety problems? And if so, what kind of challenges do you think that you would encounter?
Happy to start. So, I mean, so this is what brings me back to, you know, what we said, the solutions that we test and validate in our partner cities are, you know, as simple as can be, let's say, right? And that is also with the view of being as easily replicable as possible, to have a good bunch of solutions across the spectrum of the safe systems approach that basically any city, even with low capacity, with low budget, can pick up. But this is also something that then can be built into bigger projects. But yes, that's sort of our main focus. Let's say simple, easily replicable solutions. We don't want to get too fancy. Let's say.
Well, we learn on our skin that no, a solution that we propose don't work. So most of the time. So what we are focusing more is providing them tools for evaluating solutions and other things. So we basically help them to gain knowledge on how a solution can be evaluated and what is the basic condition for that, but we expected input from them, and input comes. They're really keen to find solutions. So yes, if someone would ask a researcher or some academic could give solution for safety, I'm sure they will find the right one. No one asks. This is the main issue. Yeah.
Great. let's go to Golem.
Yes, I'm Adewale Adesho from the Forum of European National Highway Research Laboratories. First of all, thank you for the work, for the great work, and I'm originally from Nigeria, so I know one or two things about road safety back home. Further to what the lady just asked, I noticed that there are no North African countries in any of the projects. I don't know whether that was by design or you just couldn't find any partner. So are you sure that these tools can be, the replicability issue? So that's just by the wayside. But with regards to the AfroSAFE Academy, what happens after the project ends? Just a very simple question. Then education. I noticed that TransSafe, you've put a lot of emphasis on educating the the pupils, which is very, very good. What happens after? But I didn't see anything about that in AfroSAFE. I don't know whether maybe I missed it, the educating the pupils. And then finally, Oliver, you talked about the modal share. Back home is out of necessity. It's not really out of choice. So I think we need to take that into consideration. Thank you.
Yeah, very well the point. I think I also emphasized that point that it is there, but it's not by choice. So, but we would like to make it, something that is actually enjoyable or at least bearable when you walk to work. On the Northern African side, maybe just a quick one. Indeed, so I did mention the 4 main focus countries, but we also have some interventions, in particular also a little bit related to the road safety ministerial that is happening next week in Marrakesh in Morocco, where we also co-designed some interventions for Marrakesh with the local partner university there. And the third question, I forgot. What was it? The education, yes, indeed. So very good point indeed. So this is a little bit where we do some cross-fertilization across the different departments that are involved in the partner universities as well. So we start in the, let's say, engineering departments, but then we also bring the students that we involve there and work with their peers in, for example, the architectural departments, but also the education departments to do exactly what you just said, so that we have basically tools where, we train the future lecturer or the students so that the students teach their co-students on teaching the pupils. So yeah, we're onto that.
Just to clarify, we have African partners. We have 3 African partners, and I think Northern Africa. Sorry, yes, Northern Africa. We had Egypt that it didn't make it, but no, AfroSAFE Academy. Yeah, AfroSAFE Academy. It is full managed by our colleague from Africa. So it's we only provide support, but everything is managed by them, including the business part, the economic part. So if they need funding and things, they manage to find sponsors and other. Even the conferences, they're not subsidized by the project. The conferences are fully paid by the fees and the system. So the only thing we are providing is the teaching material that will be in AfroSAFE Academy, but all the rest is completely in the hand of our colleague from Africa. So we are doing this on purpose. We really hope that AfroSAFE Academy will survive after the project finish. So. We're not sure this will happen, but we have high hope.
Excellent. Other questions before I start? Please.
Maybe if I can just add to answering the question. The academics, at least in TransSafe, are people that have been working on road safety for a long time. We now have the opportunity to test a few things because we're working together with the municipalities, etc., which is something that we as academics normally can't do. So that is really great. We have exchanged things like non-motorized transport facility guidelines, etc., that have come from South Africa and have been adopted in the other countries that we are working with. We work with people outside of Africa. So you talked about Gitam Tawari. I know Gitam very well, and we have worked together on project. I think to connect back to some things that you both said, yes, there is a necessity of walking in Africa from an economic point of view, which has tremendous impacts on road safety. And the sad thing that I have to share is analyzing almost 20 years of mobility information in South Africa, I don't have the data for other African countries, has shown that walking has increased, so the necessity for walking has increased. They're not choice walkers. And we see that back in pedestrian fatalities, 40, 50, 60%, depending where you are pedestrian fatalities. What I also would like to say towards the European Commission is that as things will start moving and as we get more motorization, electric vehicle, changing situations, and all the money, and I can see that here, all the money that goes into the research, which I think is great, if we don't make sure that those systems are functioning properly on the African continent, and I also would like to say South America, Asia, and other parts of the world where the finances that Europe has are not available to put into research. And Africa carries on being a dependent walker with very bad to none infrastructure, then all the things that you are doing on the European continent will be combated, will be whittled away on the African continent, in South America, in Asia, because vehicles are dumped, so globally we're not going to become more sustainable. Maybe in Europe, yes, but globally, no. And the fight between motor vehicles and the pedestrians, non-choice pedestrians, will increase. So fatality will increase. So if we're not careful and looking at the problems we are standing for globally, holistically, from a northern and southern hemisphere point of view, then we're not going to make the difference that the European Commission is wishing for.
Thank you very much. Reaching the end of this session, I would like to put just two short questions with two short answers, which are fundamental. The first one is, are lighter versions of international tools good or bad for Africa? If we go for a shorter version of global NCAP or network-wide road safety assessment or the mini CADAS for data, is it good or bad? We continue the lower level of safety, or we are realistic that something will be implemented instead of nothing? And the second question is very similar, how we tackle different levels of organization in the different countries in Africa in order to give guidelines uniform, as some can implement, some others not. But you have one minute for each.
Okay. Yes. Actually, EuroNCAP, they are developing AfroNCAP. There is a discussion of doing this, so absolutely it's something needed. You don't need to check vehicles, so there is no doubts on this. How easy this will be to do it for the entire Africa, this is a different story. But they are, of course, starting talking about this. Like India, for example, they already have it. They developed their India NCAP. So, yes, it is needed. It is needed to check vehicles. It's needed to have safe vehicles. You go ahead.
I'm happy to give it a shot. I think one element that maybe also, and that goes back to the collaboration style, let's say, is I think, and you know, okay, I'm an academic, I'm a little bit, but the role that the universities have in many of our partner countries as the knowledge hub, but also the generator for basically the future leaders, cannot be underemphasized. And in particular, if you also look at this from the perspective of the capacity, so the pure men and women power that ministries have, you know, it doesn't help to make readily available tools, in particular to partner ministries, because they may, in many cases, do not have the men and women power to actually run those systems. So enabling academics to be there as a supporter, as basically outside advisors to government, this could be a very good tool, and this is where we could also link the research innovation programs that are happening with the academic collaboration programs that are happening to make that happen. Because I do realize that opportunities like this call that we got funded under, are not reoccurring features all the time, and we cannot rely on this reappearing all the time. But you know, there are academic collaboration programs that can continue that bridging the gap between the tools that are available and are essential and the capacity to actually use them.
Thank you very much. So,
No, thank you very much, George, for. Yes, exactly. Thank you very much for moderating that session. Thank you to our two very great speakers. And coming back to your question also, I think it will be important indeed not to stop at this stage with research project, but our idea is really to implement different tools and activities which have been developed in this project, and together with our colleagues in the more policy unit, in DG Mobility and Transport, we'll use this result to put in the global dialogue that we'll have also at international level. And indeed, the African NCAP that you mentioned will be certainly something very important to continue. On the education and training is key, of course. It's not easy because with the governments, you don't necessarily have the right level of person to discuss with, and through academia, I think it's always a way. It will be the future minister, maybe, of transport, coming from these universities, coming in, and will take the right decision for the future. And with that, I will not end too long, and I will not want to stop you to go to our lunch, and I would like to thank again all the panelists and all for you for attending this session. Thank you.